What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the early wedge. We're covering the CJ CUP Byron Nelson. We're going to be covering the Truist a little bit later. We got the PGA Championship coming next week. We are in full swing. Jason Sobel, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Let me be the first to tell you guys that I have a good feeling about a live outright that I'm looking at on tour today.
Well, I have a good feeling too. I wonder if we're on the same guy here.
It's not going to pay very well, but I've got a good feeling who could win this thing.
Oh, that's funny. Okay, Patrick McDonald. The theater has been taken out of who is actually going to win this tournament thanks to one Scottie Scheffler. Should be no particular surprise, but we're going to be talking about the without markets, matchups, all kinds of things. How you doing today?
Good. Yeah, a lot to play for. I guess I'm just trying to find the positive out of today, right, Sia? There's a lot of guys looking for FedEx Cup points, I guess. There's a lot of rookies trying to move up the Aon Swing 5, of course. Who could forget that mechanism for the Truist Championship next week? But look, to say Scottie Scheffler took the air out of this tournament wouldn't be completely true. I think the air was taken out of this tournament for a number of reasons, and Scottie Scheffler's just happens to be one of them also.
Yeah, I'm really, so it's interesting too because Scottie, by the way, not playing at the Truist next week, but obviously, taking a week off for the Truist Championship. We'll get into that as well. But it's always like kind of a relief when Scottie Scheffler's not playing in a tournament, just from a pure betting standpoint. I will say, though, he shot out to such a big lead that the without market became like the new market almost right away. So that's something we're going to talk about. In fact, let's put that market up right now, and then we're going to go to matchups because there's a bunch of matchups that are still remaining, one of which I have a particular interest in, and I need you guys to sway me either onto it or off of it. It was some subject matter for me on Twitter earlier today. But okay, so, I mean, I think people are pretty much familiar with how this board looks. There's a lot of low scores out there. I want to mention Matt McCarty's 6 under through 11. We've got Goddard up 5 under through 11. Thorbjornson's playing well. Steelman, not Streelman, but Steelman playing well here. And forgive me, I don't know if everybody else is hearing the same echo I am, but either way, we'll get through it. We got Ricky Castillo leading the pack in the without market with Eric Van Rooyen, both at plus 450. Adam Schenk right behind him. We see the names here: Kurt Kitayama, Vegas, Rasmus. I do want you to scroll down a little bit because, Josh, what I really like is once we get to this Sam Stevens, Eric Cole, Echeverria range, that's sort of where I want to live. And I've already put an outright out there. It was Echeverria, which I got on BetMGM at plus 1,800. I guess it's getting action because it's plus 1,600 now. Jason, I see you nodding your head. Where are you at?
Yeah, I like Echeverria a lot. Look, he's one of the best putters on the PGA Tour statistically, and he's playing some really good golf tee to green so far this week. So I think the combination of that makes a whole lot of sense. I would also make the point that, as you guys mentioned, that a bunch of these guys that are near the top, there's a lot to play for. I get they're probably not going to win the golf tournament today. That Scottie Scheffler is just going to take an 18-hole walk in the park, and he's going to win this thing. That said, for the guys like Adam Schenk and Eric Van Rooyen and Ricky Castillo, there's a lot to play for, and I know we can kind of make fun a little bit. Oh, FedEx Cup points. I mean, those are kind of – yeah, I mean, look, this can determine whether the guy has a card and has playing privileges next year or not based on how they do. That said, I'm looking at the players who have a little more experience, have a little more status, and aren't necessarily playing for their lives this afternoon.
Patrick, one of the reasons I really like Nico here is because when you look at the leaderboard, obviously everybody at the top is playing really well. I mean, I don't think I need to say that. But what's interesting about Echeverria is he's not gaining in the putting department, whereas everybody else in the top 10, top 15 is. And it might be like, okay, well, I guess you're going to say the regression thing. Well, good news, the regression started yesterday because he started to find the putter yesterday. So if the first 2 rounds were bad with the putter, and he's still overall tournament-wise not gaining with the putter, but we know he's just crushing it on approach. The putter came around yesterday. I kind of feel like, all right, maybe he's kind of found something on the greens, 18-1. How do you feel about that? And who else do you like in the outright without Scottie market?
It makes a lot of sense for all the reasons you two pointed out, right? Number one, in approach, it looks like on Data Golf, 3rd tee to green. So everything's looking great outside of the short game, which historically you would think bounces back. I like a couple other guys at that 13 under number. Honestly, Eric Cole's a guy I'm looking at, top 10 in approach, top 10 in putting. Had a great first round, has kind of cooled since, but he's a guy who we know when you can kind of take the governor off the golf cart, he can go low. And then Rasmus Højgaard also, just with the amount of firepower and overall talent level. So Cole, I looked at was, what was it, 16-1, and Højgaard a little short, 12. So if you want to take a shot on those guys, and then a guy who's moving up that market as we speak, as we are live on air.
Oh,
one Jordan Spieth.
Okay.
Now, 3 under through 5. I'm not touching that 30-1, but just fun to watch.
I mean, that was your out. You had a single bullet outright, Patrick. It was Jordan Spieth, and props to you, by the way, because everybody usually likes to pepper the board like I do with 3 or 4. Some people out there have like 8 or 9 outrights, and you come to a lot of shows with 1, 2, or 3. In this case, you had 1. He was your one and done as well. Yeah, shooting up the board. I mean, good for Jordan. You think this is a precursor of things to come over the next couple of weeks, perhaps?
It's a big stretch for him. He's playing a lot of golf. I think he said 9 out of the next 11 he's going to be playing in. And then, obviously the big one's the PGA Championship. What is he going to do there? I was looking through his run since being able to, quote unquote, complete the career Grand Slam. His first try was at Quail Hollow in 2017. He has not missed a cut in the PGA since, but his last top 20 finish was that bizarre T3 at Bethpage Black, where he found every nook and cranny on Long Island, but made every single putt in the process too. So it's weird. I don't think he's a horrible fit for Quail Hollow, but it just seems like one part of his game every week is off, and it's a different one every single week. And this week, unfortunately for him, it seems to be the putter because he's hitting it quite well.
Yeah, I totally agree. Joseph Boza says Ian Baker Finch did a run on CBS Sports HQ last night, and he said he couldn't really hype up today because Scottie is such a bully to the point where people just aren't caring. I think so. I kind of get that sentiment, but I do think, and let's put up matchups because there's certainly meat on the bone from a betting standpoint, whether it's matchups or the without market. And by the way, in that without market, I mean, we didn't even mention the guys that were actually at 15 or 14 under. I'm not in a birdie fest like this. I'm not interested in those short numbers. When I've got a guy at 13 under, that's 2 or 3 times the number that can eagle a particular hole and just pass everybody that's ahead of him outside of Scottie. That's what I'm interested in. That's why we're so far on the show. We're just discussing guys like Eric Cole and Nico Echeverria, those guys that are at double-digit numbers. All right, there is a matchup I want to ask you about, but let's start with what we have. We've got a matchup that's going off right now. Does anybody have a take? We can scroll past the tie stuff. Sam Stevens minus 125 over Andrew Putnam. If I had to pick something here, and maybe somebody in the chat likes one of these, it would be Sam Stevens. Would anybody even consider to pay this minus 125, though? Jason, I'll go to you.
Probably not. I'm looking for something closer to even money. It's just look at in single round matchups. Just my personal philosophy that unless I feel really good about something, unless the stats are just like neon sign with an arrow pointing in a certain direction, I'm probably not paying up minus 125 for most matchups like this. That said, I do like Stevens more than I like Putnam. I don't really trust Andrew Putnam on really on weekends, on Saturdays and Sundays, and this is one of those.
Patrick, do you have a take here as we you can continue to scroll down because I want to see this next matchup too, but go ahead, Patrick.
I really don't. No.
Yeah.
A couple guys who are relying on their short game a lot, it seems like this week, which final round going to be a bit of a crapshoot in that regard. So I'm not trying to pay anything, honestly, for that matchup.
So speaking of minus 125, this is the one I wanted to ask you guys about. The 4th round 2-ball between, obviously everybody knows I like Nico. I like Rosner. He, that pairing last week I talked about on the DFS and the betting show. Who was Rosner paired with again? I'm suddenly forgetting. But that pairing at the Zurich Classic was something I was fond of. Anybody remember who Roz was paired with?
If I had to guess, Victor Perez.
Was it Victor?
I don't know. They're both French.
I think that might be it. I'll double check that. But listen, I like Rosner and but I really like Nico Echeverria. I just love how he's striking it. It was Chris Ventura. Thank you, Josh. It was Chris Ventura. Okay, close. Kind of the same guy.
Yeah, white Europeans.
But Rosner was really I don't want to say he was really relying on the putter yesterday. He gained a ton with the putter, but he was really good with the ball striking too. I don't know, Jason, is this one of those where you're it's still minus 125? I know you like Nico, but because this is the one I'm leaning towards taking Nico over Antoine.
parlay Nico and Stevens, maybe. Look, again, I don't love the number -125. Do I love the player? Yeah, Rosner, I don't think he can sniff 63 before on the PGA Tour. Obviously, World Tour for a very long time. We all know it's tough to back up a low one with another low one the next day, unless your name is Scottie Scheffler. So I do want a little Rosner fade today. So, yeah, that's one of those, like, if you're asking me which one at -125 I like better today, the answer is Echeverria and not Stevens. I like both of them. That's probably why they're favored, because it's easier to like both of those guys. I don't know if I want to pay for that money for either of them, but yeah, parlay together. Why not?
Patrick, any thoughts here? Because I haven't bet this yet. I was kind of waiting to talk to you guys. Take it.
Take Nico. You love him. Rosner is going to shoot 69 today, and Nico will shoot 67.
Well, I'll tell you what, I did, just so everybody knows, I did bet, and I used it at BetMGM. There was like a 33% boost token, which I'm sure if you guys are part of the BetMGM experience, you have that available too. It's specific to golf. So I actually ended up getting, what was it? 18-1 on Nico, but with the boost token, it was like 22-1. That bet I did put in a couple of hours ago. So again, I'm fond of Nico potentially going low. I'm taking this bet, everybody. Let's scroll down because we got a couple other matchups. Then we'll go back to the outright board, and then we'll touch on maybe some of your questions and, of course, the Truist. All right, Kurt Kitayama, Jonathan Vegas. Can we scroll past the – are they only giving us the tie option? Okay, let's go to Schenk and Castillo then. Is Castillo -135 over Adam Schenk? I mean, Adam Schenk is one of those guys, Patrick, where I don't expect him to run it back. And Castillo's been really good. Any thoughts on this one? -135, too expensive?
Yeah, I would say so, especially for a young guy on the PGA Tour. He's only been in this position, quote unquote, at the Valspar Championship when he had the puka shells and the shades. I mean, I love his get up. I love Ricky Castillo's get up. I wish more people were a bit more unique like that. But in this experience, in the later group, penultimate group, I know he's out of it, but he has a lot to play for. So I would honestly probably lean Schenk at this one at plus 115, just given how nerve-wracking a final round can be when you have perceived things to play for. So no Castillo for me.
Sobel?
I feel like there's an ongoing trend here, a theme to all these plays, which is the guys that at least a little bit more, the guys that are favored. And so I'm in line with the odds base, which at least makes me think, okay, that's nice. We're all on the same page here, but it doesn't make me want to really bet any of these at the numbers they're at. So again, I probably like Castillo a little bit better. Although it kind of goes against my whole, go the veterans, go the experience today, because the other guys have actually something to play for. But Shank's got a lot to play for as well. Adam Schenk is not exempt on the PGA Tour past this year. And so he's got to make up some ground. He's got to do some good things as well. So it's probably Castillo. But again, I'm not paying the juice for, a big favorite in any of these matchups.
Jeff Stenberg says, I just put $500 on Scottie Scheffler to win $502.50. In other words, a net of $2.50. Sometimes you just need to see one go through the hoop. That is really funny. I don't know if you actually did that. I hope you didn't. But obviously, you're not going to lose that bet. So, it is what it is. I need Valimaki today, and he's like the one guy not going low because I've had a bad early wedge. Like both my matchups lost. I have Valimaki top 30 at plus 210, and he's plus 1, and he's now tied for 49th. Do you guys have anything riding? I mean, obviously, nobody has a Scottie ticket. Anybody have anything in play here? Patrick, go ahead.
I'm just sweating a Siwoo Kim over Sam Burns full tournament matchup that looks like it's going to come down to the wire. I think they're tied right now, which is no fun.
Go ahead, Jason.
Pre-tournament, some of my scratch-off tickets that I like to do on Wednesday evenings, which is parlaying all the different winners on different tours and round-robining them. And I've got him with Angel Cabrera, who's 2 back at the Insperity on PGA Tour champion. So Scottie and Angel, it's not going to, be a windfall for me by any means, but that would be at least something in there. Like Jeff said, to just see one go through the hoop would be nice.
All right. So we don't have the We don't have the leaders going out for, what time is it? We have them going out in about 30 minutes. Again, Chris Goddard up 500 through 11. They're like, some of these guys are going really low. Spieth 400 through 6. Patrick McDonald's guy. So here's what we're going to do. I think, because I don't think we have any questions right now. Paul L says, are we sure Scottie didn't get arrested on the ride in? That's the only way he's not winning this tournament. Let's transition. What we're going to do is we're going to come back to this tournament in about 15 minutes to see what's going on the course, see if we like any other live outrights. And if you have questions, put them in the chat. We'll get to them. But before we kind of circle back to this tournament, we got to talk Truist Championship, because that's what's coming up next week. I have some names in mind already. Jason, I know you've played this course. Patrick, I'm not 100% sure how familiar you are with this course, but we're going to cover it all, actually. Truist Championship, a very quick hitter preview, maybe some of the names we like, some of the types of golfers we want to see here right after this message from our partners.
The crowd loves champions. Gladiator 2 is an epic spectacle. Remarkable! To amuse you is my only wish.
The glory is yours, not mine.
Very good.
Gladiator 2, rated R. Now streaming on Paramount+.
All right, we're back on the early wedge, brought to you by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. Gentlemen, we've got a signature event next week right before the PGA Championship, which, of course, is over at Quail Hollow. So we need a new venue for the Truist Championship. And what is it? The Philadelphia Cricket Club? Anyway, let's talk about what we're looking for there. I'm joined by Patrick McDonald and Jason Sobel. Jason, I know you have played this course before, and there's just not a lot of information out on this course other than the scorecard, which we may put up in a little bit. But what are your thoughts in terms of, what were your impressions when you played it, and what are your thoughts in terms of what type of golfer you're looking for heading in here?
So yeah, I played it about 2 or 3 summers ago. I have some good friends up in Philly who are pretty well connected with some clubs up there, and we had a great time. Other than me flexing about the fact that I got to play Philly Cricket Club, I'm not sure that I could tell you a whole lot about it. As far as I think it's difficult for me going out there and saying, oh, well, you've got to, if you don't hit it right to left, you're going to struggle on this golf course. Or, oh, this is a second shot golf course. You can drive it everywhere, but you've got to hit your iron shots really well. I don't know that playing a golf course, I can necessarily see that. I will tell you this much, just in general, and I'm going to do some research later this afternoon tonight on this fact, but I feel like when the PGA Tour goes to venues for a one-off, and I'm not saying venues where they start anew and they start playing a golf tournament for the first time. I'm not saying that, the U.S. Open or the Open Championship, which go through a rotation of golf courses, but I'm saying when the PGA Tour just does a one-off, something like this where, hey, we can't play Quail this year because the PGA is there. We're going to move it somewhere else for a year. I feel like they always err on the side of caution. We usually see a ton of birdies on this golf course, whether it was back in the first year at Greenbrier, which I'm going years ago when Stuart Appleby shot 59 and won, or maybe it was Caves Valley for the BMW Championship a few years ago where Cantley and Bryson duked it out at 27, 28 under, something like that. It feels like they're not going to go out and beat up all these players. They're not going to make it overly hard. You've got members who are going to go play there the Monday afterwards and continue playing in their golf season. They don't want to trick this thing up to the point where the membership can't play the golf course for 3 or 4 months afterwards. And so I think we're looking for guys that make a lot of birdies. Only going to play 7,100 and change. It's par 70. There's some length in the par 3s, which of course takes away some of the length in the par 4s and par 5. So I don't think you need necessarily a big hitter on this golf course. I'm looking at guys who make a lot of birdies. I'm looking at guys who are due. We'll get in some names here, I know, in a minute, but it's going to be a fun track. It's going to be really nice on TV. Watching this one, I think a lot of people are going to go, I need to find some friends in Philly and get hooked up at Cricket Club because it is a hidden gem that's not going to be hidden for too much longer after this.
Patrick, we're looking at, as Jason said, a 7,100 and change par 70. It's interesting because I think the takes are going to be across the board here, and we're not going to know who's right until they go out Thursday through Sunday. I listened to Alex Bickle over on Pat's show I guess it was yesterday. He's played this course, I believe, a number of times, competed on this course, and he was saying, it's probably going to be a little tougher than what Jason described. That the rough is going to be a little penal, the fescue is going to be a little penal as well, and that the undulating greens are going to be very tricky in terms of like getting it close to the hole on approach. So, what are your? I mean, that's just one person's impression. We heard Jason's. What's yours?
Yeah, I mean, I probably in line with whoever said that. I don't know who it is. But yeah, I watched a flyover. I watched a 15-minute flyover based on that, which you can find on YouTube. It's not a secret or anything. I think it depends on what they grow that rough out to. I haven't looked at the greenskeeper sheet yet, or what they grow that fescue out to. And it seems like the main defense are the greens and the green complexes and how firm and fast they get them. I'm not sure what the weather has been like in the Northeast at all. I know you're not too far away from Philly, Sia, but if it gets firm and fast, I could see something around 15 under. And if it's been wet there recently, I could see something lower than 20 under. It's kind of that type of golf course, but based on the flyover, looked like it was pretty wide off the tee, pretty lenient in that regard. And I'm looking for someone who has a decent run on bent grass also. So probably going to bet Patrick Cantlay and probably going to lose money on Patrick.
Oh my gosh. Are we going to do that again? I'll tell you what, just based on the information that I heard. And again, this is one of those where it's like, I hate to use an overused phrase here, take it with a grain of salt, but it did seem, even though this course doesn't necessarily present with the par 70, 7100, it did seem like driving distance would come into play a little bit. I think putting, certainly, you mentioned bent grass, Patrick, comes into play. I do want to mention, it looks like we're looking at the scorecard right now over here on the SportsLine YouTube channel. Looks like we only got 2 par 5s and just a ton of par 4s, one very short par 3, which is interesting, 122 yard par 3 on the 14th hole. And then we've got one really long par 3 and then kind of one that's in that 172 yard range. Just an interesting setup in general, but ball strikers, obviously, good putters, distance. That's probably what I'm looking for. I'm just going to mention some names that came to mind. And then you guys you mentioned Cantlay, Patrick. Jason, I'll go to you next. Maybe there's some names you have. Rory obviously stands out. And I do, before I even say another name, what do you guys think the number? Because there's no Scottie Scheffler at this signature event next week. Everybody else is here, I think, but Scottie's not here. Let's go here real quick. Jason, what's the number on Roy? What does it open at?
Plus 450, plus 500, which I still think is too short. I mean, I'd like a better number, at least entice the public to go out there and bet on Rory in a signature field, even if Scottie's not there. But I think at that number, it's not unbettable. I mean, look, I would have said the same thing about Scottie on Tuesday and Wednesday. I did say the same thing about Scottie on Tuesday and Wednesday of this week, which, hey, it's a really short number. You can't get me to bite at that short a number. As it turns out, you should have bitten on that short of a number. So it's going to be really short on Rory, like sub 5-1, but it's probably worthy of it. He's played great golf so far this year. It makes sense, and I'm probably not buying.
Patrick, I don't think I would buy at that number either, but I do like Rory this week, so we'll just have to wait and see what the number is. What do you think it's going to open at, Patrick?
I think around 4 is probably right. I mean, he's 5-1 to win the PGA Championship right now. Granted, that's at a golf course he's won at 4 times, I believe, so a little bit different, but that's a strong, deep field. This one, strong field, yes, but not as deep, just given with how limited it is with the participants. So I'd say 4-ish. I'm not touching it.
Yeah. I hope it's, I guess I was hopeful that it would be in that plus 450, plus 500 range, like Jason sort of opened with, but you're probably right. It's probably going to be, especially given his number at the PGA Championship, it's probably going to be plus 400 or south of that. We'll see. The other names I liked, and I don't know, again, I don't know if you guys have done any, your research yet on the Truist, since we've been talking about the CJ Cup for the whole week, but Ludwig kind of stood out to me as a guy that can get it out there. Great ball striker, can get hot in that department and can potentially get hot with the putter. Corey Connors stuck out to me. Victor Hovland stuck out to me. Victor is just one of those, like, which Victor is going to show up, obviously, but we know he has the upside. And so I just thought he was an interesting, this all is dependent on the numbers, of course. But I think Victor Hovland's number is going to be reasonable. As far as long shots, Keegan, Bridgman, who had a bad tournament this week, and Jake Knapp, who I was all over this week and will probably be, I don't know if I'm betting him outright, but DFS wise, things of that nature, those three names, Keegan, Bridgman, and Knapp, I think are sticking out to me. Jason, any other names? I know it sounds like you like Cantlay, but confirm that. Any other names that jump out to you?
Yeah, first click for me, I was thinking it was probably Cantlay if the number's decent. Like Patrick said, really good bent grass player. He's done well in the Northeast. I think it's going to be a little bit more of a birdie fest than maybe it sounds like some others think, but Patrick Cantlay is known to make a whole lot of birdies, and quite frankly, he's due. I mean, at some point, you look at Justin Thomas a few weeks ago, and like Scottie this week, at some point, like all the elite players in the world are going to have a peak week, and you're trying to hit that peak week when a guy's going to have it. And I think Cantlay's there. And then I'm looking at essentially long hitters play short courses well, if that makes some sense, with a nice combination there. Wyndham Clark is a guy that certainly plays into there, and I think the number's been pretty good with a high upside for me to chase Wyndham Clark a little bit. I like the Keegan play. The last time they played in Philly, I believe, was 2018 BMW at Aronimink, where Keegan won that golf tournament, I think, over Justin Rose in a playoff. So Keegan makes some sense this week as well coming up. Davis Thompson for a little bit of a longer shot, maybe a Sam Burns, maybe a Ken Davis for a top 20 type of play. I think I saw him in there. Gary Woodland, another long hitter who plays short courses better, although he's withdrawn from the last two events. So I don't know if I really want to touch him right now. Don't know what's going on with him. Again, those are some of the names right there. I'm going to probably take a little bit more of a wait and see approach than usual, just because we want to see the golf course. We want to hear what the players are saying. So this may be more Wednesday betting than Monday betting for me this coming week.
Well, that makes a ton of sense. That's probably a really appropriate way to attack this, Patrick, because we are going to need more information. Because again, I'm still wondering if distance is going to be an issue. I've heard from what I think is a respected opinion that distance is going to be important. But then I look at I look at what you guys are saying, and it does make sense that maybe distance isn't going to be a big deal, which is why Josh kind of likes JT. If JT can put the driver away, we know what he can do on courses like that. Patrick, what do you like?
Well, distance is always an advantage, so
Yeah.
I'll put that one out there. Not only off the tee, but of course coming into greens that have difficult pins to get to. If you're hitting a shorter club, it's much easier, especially if guys are going to be blasting it everywhere, also potentially. So distance is always a key. I think a name I'm most interested in, not only for next week, but also for the PGA Championship, because no one is talking about him, and I think it's just completely disrespectful, is Xander Schauffele. I'm really interested to see what he does. If he has a good driving week, I think he is very, very live to go back-to-back at the PGA Championship. So that club in particular is one I'm looking at from one player in particular.
I'm very interested in the Xander Schauffele experience because, I bet on him. I can't remember, a few weeks ago. He certainly had time where to put the entire game together. And we know parts of his game have really shined over the last couple of months. By the way, I did mention Jake Knapp, and Josh is correcting me in our private chat saying he's an alternate. So he's not actually in this signature event as of yet. I think we got 72 players. This is obviously a no-cut event. Jason, I really liked what you said about kind of the wait and see approach and like maybe getting more information, knowing how penal the rough is going to be, kind of getting an idea of what this course is going to call for is going to be really important. All right. Jason, any closing thoughts before we close our quick preview on the Truist Championship?
Yeah, look, I was going to ask you guys, and I've not honestly looked at the field too closely. Is there anyone besides Scheffler that we're missing next week? Any top 15, top 20 types who could or should be there that we're missing? Is it basically a full field other than Scottie?
I'm guessing so, yeah.
Okay.
I think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems like we all have a little work to do to figure this out. But yeah, look, it's really hard to get away from the better players at these signature events. As we've seen, it might not be the best of the best, but it's going to be someone that it doesn't come out of nowhere. It's going to be someone that we've seen playing some good golf already this year and can go out and beat the best players in the world. So, some of those names I mentioned, like, starts with Cantlay, Wyndham Clark. I love his upside. And the number in the outright markets has been really good on Wyndham Clark for a guy that's won a major. He's won some bigger events in the past. I think that Wyndham Clark, I don't know if that's first click or 1A or 1B, but Wyndham Clark's definitely up there for me.
And I think you're also getting good numbers on Wyndham Clark because of the state of his game right now. I think you're getting good numbers in the top 5, top 10 market as well in terms of like really good plus numbers. So that's also something to consider. You can pepper in the outright and pepper in some kind of like ladder-ish type stuff, like kind of ladder down, if you will, if you're starting with the outright in the top 5 and top 10 market. All right, that'll do it for our quick preview on the Truist Championship. Of course, way more coming your way with the DFS show tomorrow or I should say Monday at 7 o'clock. Tuesday, we've got the betting show at 7 o'clock. Wednesday, the live chat. We'll be talking Truist Championship throughout, including the Friday recap show where we recap rounds 1 and 2 and lead you down the road of Saturday and Sunday. And all looking forward to the PGA Championship. So Truist Championship, PGA Championship, that's what's coming up next. We are very excited about it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us for this particular quick preview. But gentlemen, let's revert back to the tournament that's going on right now. I'm seeing Nico and Rosner were both in the bunker, and I don't think Nico's shot was very good. So I'm monitoring my head-to-head here. Spieth parred a par 3. We don't have the leaders that have gone out yet. They're going out in about 15 minutes and 25 minutes in terms of the final 2 groups. Patrick, anything that's been going on? We see Jeff Stenberg saying anyone like Shank plus 500 winner without Scottie market today. Anything else going on though?
You're not going to like Nico's next shot. I'll tell you that much.
Oh no.
From the fairway bunker, but at least on Shot Tracker, at least I'll let you find out personally.
Oh shoot.
Anything else going on? Not much, man. I think we're ready to rock. Who knows who's going to win this without market? It's really a complete, I'm not going to say the word, but it's really up for grabs right now. So it could come from anywhere. So I don't like Shank at 5-1 when you could it's kind of a dart throw, I think, for second place today.
Did he? Oh my gosh. What is happening with Nico Echeverria? I've seen a number of shots like that this tournament.
I'm sorry, man.
I mean, listen, it's one hole. We'll see what happens. Maybe he'll dig his way out. I mean, what do we do? I've seen a couple of these from good players. It's confusing. Jason, your comments on my head-to-head not looking good so far, and or anything going out on the course right now?
Yeah, I still like Echeverria. Well, I don't know. I've been telling you all year that Ross Steelman is ready to break out in a big way. So obviously that's coming to fruition now. No, look, like Patrick said, the only thing you said, Patrick, that I didn't agree with that was contradictory was you called this a stinky golf course. Then you said the air was taken out. It's either stinky or there's air in it. Which way is it? But that said, I don't disagree with anything. The B flight's going to be a fantastic tournament here. You still get a trophy for winning the B flight in this thing, but Sky's going to run away with it. And it is going to be one of the, other than Scottie winning, one of the least intriguing, least dramatic tournaments that we'll see all year.
Mm-hmm. Are we now Scottie is fully back. Are we confident thinking Scottie's going to enjoy a similar maybe run of things from here over the next few months? Like we saw maybe last year. I don't mean the same run, but I mean, are we going to see that Scottie on a more consistent basis now that we saw what we saw this week?
I would like to say that if this week included Rory McIlroy and Xander Schauffele and Justin Thomas and all the other great players, that Scottie's name would still be atop the leaderboard, and it might be maybe not an 8-shot lead, but it might be a multiple shot lead anyway, even if everybody was playing at TPC Craig Ranch. That said, I wasn't pressing the panic button before this. I'm certainly not going to, press the whatever the opposite of the panic button is now. And he's completely fully back and ready to go win 3 majors this year. But I think he's, if anything, shown that he can win golf tournaments again. I don't think he needed to prove that to anybody other than maybe himself, and kind of move forward from here. Winning's always better than not winning, but I don't know if this means anything too drastic for his career or his season moving forward.
All he needed was EC to say on our betting show Tuesday nights at 7 to say, if he doesn't win here, he's going to be on my do not bet list from here on out. That's all he needed. I think Scottie was watching the show. I think that was bulletin board material. And Patrick, I think we all said, and I know, and I'm quoting you here, you said he's very close. And so clearly he was closer. Yeah, I know. This is a safe one. He's clearly closer than a lot of us or a lot of people anticipated in terms of him just like really putting the foot down at the CJ CUP Byron Nelson. I did have a question for you, Patrick. I know we have the Myrtle Beach Classic coming next week. Joseph Boza mentions that. I will have picks for the Myrtle Beach Classic. I love those. I love those events as well. But Patrick, I had a question for you as it related to Scottie. Oh, that's right. Wire to wire winner. I just
you had one.
I had one. Yeah, I had Jake Knapp wire to wire. So I was technically really close because it was the first wire to wire I've ever put out on a show. So Patrick, I should get like some credit for that, right?
I think so. I think you get your bet back this day and age with how whiny and complaining golf betting Twitter or DFS Twitter is. I want my money back. I want my money back.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jason.
This one from the SiriusXM broadcast team last night. Scottie so far this week is 16 under on the front nine. If he went home at the turn every day, he'd still be leading this golf tournament.
That's incredible. That is really incredible.
I think he might have had to DQ or something, or if he went home after 9 holes, but still, you get the point.
By the way, I did tell everybody, because that Jake Knapp thing was 400 to 1. I explicitly said I'm only putting $1 or $2 on that because it's a ridiculous bet. And I did. I'm just verifying to everybody. I only put $1 on that to win 400. It was fun while it lasted. And it didn't last longer than 5 minutes, as it turns out. All right. Well, this show lasted about 40 minutes. Thank you for joining us. Paul L says, is Scottie getting to minus 30? Probably not. He'll probably fall 1 or 2 short of minus 30. This is just, as Jason said earlier, kind of a walk in the park for him. Go ahead, Jason.
Oh, it was really smart what Scottie said. I was doing the post-game show for Sirius last night, so I was listening to his interview with Fred Albers on radio afterwards. And I thought it was very smart because Scottie went before the penultimate group hit their second shots on the par 5 18. Scottie got up there, hit his tee shot, and you're thinking, oh, he's up 7 shots at the time, wound up being 8, but he's up 7 shots. He doesn't really care that much. He's going to win anyway. He just wants to sleep in. Scottie made the point afterwards and said, even if I par that hole in the dark right there, I've saved myself a stroke by just the mental and physical energy of waking up early and going to play 1 hole and then sitting around all day and just kind of wasting the day. He said, I love the fact that I was able to go out there and finish, and I saved myself on the back end. It was sort of next level thinking. It was good insight into how a player thinks in the moment, as opposed to I'd always just kind of assume these guys are man, I'd rather sleep in tomorrow. I'm just going to go tee off. But no, he had actually thought this thing through. It was very smart.
All right. Spieth working out of the bunker, trying to save par. He'll have about a 10-foot putt for that. I noticed Eric Cole bogeyed the first one and birdied the second. So he's okay. I'm hoping Nico can do the same. I hope he can maybe par, but likely a bogey coming for Nico. And I'm kind of all in on him today. So we'll see what happens. A lot of golf to be played, particularly for those watching in the without Scottie Scheffler market, as Danny Walker, 10 under and a really nice approach on the 4th hole. Love me some Danny Walker. He'll probably be playing over at Myrtle Beach, so I'll be looking forward to that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got to get out of here. On behalf of Jason Sobel, on behalf of Patrick McDonald, of course, Josh on the 1s and 2s, thanks for being part of the show. Make sure you subscribe to the SportsLine YouTube channel and the podcast on Apple and or Spotify. We appreciate you participating every single day, and we'll see you tomorrow at 7 o'clock on the Early Wedge.